Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is part 2 of the Riftbound video that I was going to do one on all 6 articles, but it's just better to split them into 2 because it was getting long. We're going to do these last 3 articles about deck building, where to buy it, and they're on August 8th they had an announcement for set 2. So let's go ahead and get into the deck building primer because I don't know how to build a deck in this game. So game director Dave Guskin teaches the philosophy of deck construction and how to build a deck. Hi friends, Dave here with a deeper look on how to build a deck for Riftbound. I've been playing trader games for a long time, and the good news, bad news is that building a deck can be both one of the most rewarding and most challenging things you can do in a TCG. So let's dive in and make it simpler. Discovering the domains. So we have games built around 6 domains, the philosophy of power that put each champion from League into a universe that aligns or against, and which defines the cards you can put in the champion's deck. The domains are Red Fury. Red. Fury is about aggression, passion, and the thrill of conquering. Fury decks often use damage-based removal, accelerate, and other ways to enter ready, and rewards for conquering to achieve victory. Generally, Fury cards have a harder time drawing lots of cards or killing units directly, um, especially units that stay out of combat in their base. Examples of Fury for popular fiction are Conan, Blade, and Anakin Skywalker. I love it. Calm. That's green. Calm is about balance, meditation, and the peace of holding. Calm decks often use defensive tricks, moving enemies, and negating interaction, like counterspells and stuns to defend their holds and achieve victory. Generally, calm cards have a harder time being very aggressive or interacting without using their units. Gandalf, well, we love Blue. And Obi-Wan Kenobi. I love that. I love like the so far. I keep and he uses a lot of Star Wars references. That's cool. Mind and Blue. Mind is about innovation, outsmarting opponents, and the benefits of intelligence and curiosity. Mind decks often use long-term planning, shrinking tricks, and card draw. Card draw. And hidden and geared to synergy to gain advantage to achieve victory. Generally, mind cards have a harder time with moving units or having efficient units. Oh, that's not cool. Examples of mind from popular fiction are Sherlock Holmes, Curious George, and Yoda. Body, orange. Body is about physically superiority, agility, and connection to the wilds. Body decks often ramp their resources, play efficient and high impact units, and dominate combats to achieve victory. Generally, body cards have a harder time finding efficient draw or non-combat spells. Examples are Terminator, Juggernaut, I love it, and Chewbacca. Chaos, purple. Chaos is about the unpredictability, rebellion, and trickiness. Chaos decks often manipulate position and the trash, use hidden tricks, and filter towards the right cards to achieve victory. Generally, Chaos cards have a harder time permanently eliminating a threat or giving permanent advantages to its units. Examples of Chaos from popular fiction are V for Vendetta, Spider-Man, and Han Solo. That's funny. I like that. That's a good one. We love V for Vendetta in my house. A great, fantastic comic. Order yellow. Order is about unity, community, and sacrifice for the greater good. Order decks often generate many small units, gain effects on unit death, and kill units directly to achieve victory. Generally, order cards have a harder time dealing with smaller units and moving units. Examples of order for popular fiction are Superman, Cobra Commander, and Leo Organa. That's totally like the opposite, right? Like you got like 2 peak good guys and 1 really bad guy. One way to start building a deck is to start the domain you think fits your playstyle or style just generally, and search for cool cards you might want to fit in a deck. But especially in Riftbound, the best way to make a deck is to start with your legend. Remember, the champion determines the domains of your colors. In the Riftbound's first set Origins, every champion you can build a deck with has a legend card with 2 different domains. So, for example, Jinx is Fury Chaos, so you can both play Fury cards and Chaos, but not, for example, Calm cards, because she doesn't have those colors. So you can play one of those too. Your legend doesn't define what cards. Your legend doesn't define which cards you can play, but it also has a powerful ability that's always on and help define your strategy and path to victory. For example, Jinx lets you draw an extra card when you're almost out, encouraging you to play more aggressively, get cards from hands onto board, and find the best ways to discard extra cards to pay cost to empty your hand quickly. Once you've chosen a legend, that'll lead to your next decision. You choose your champion. In addition to the legend card itself, every deck needs to have a chosen champion. This is the available versions of your Legends champion unit in Origins. Each legend has two, one for each color. Each one has different abilities that line up with a different piece of an overall deck strategy. Since you're always guaranteed to have access to this one copy of your chosen champion unit, let's think about how you want to build your deck around that champ. Let's look at Lee Sin. Let's review his legend, Blind Monk. He's green, orange. You pay one, you tap him, buff a friendly unit. If it doesn't have a buff, it gets a one. Looks like power. That must be. I forget if that's power. I think that's power. Yeah, it is. It's power. We'll have access to adding a buff to one of our units each turn. So how will that play out for each of the chosen champion units? So let's look at Lee Sin centered, the body orange unit version of the champion. He's a 6 cost, 6. I think it's might. Yeah, it's 6 might. Champion unit. Accelerate. You may pay 1 orange as an additional cost to have it enter ready. That's super cool. Other buff friendly units at my battlefield have 2 might. Hell yeah. This Lee Sin is about giving other buffed units additional boost. Plus 2 is a lot. For a deck built around this card, we may want to consider going wide. Having most of the units buff themselves, we can use our legend ability to add an extra buff for units to come out. Or if we spend one, what about our other option? Lee Sin I think it's... I don't know how to pronounce that word. Don't know. Whatever. Let's take a look at this calm green unit version of the champion. So he has shield. So while he's a defender, he has +1 might. You just tap him to buff him. That's cool. And he can have any number of buffs. Ooh, that's dope. Lee Sin can gain any number of buffs. We'll know you want to have access to one giant unit to push pressure across the board. That also means we probably want to be using our legend ability on this unit, not spreading them out like we would in the body version. This means that players who love Lee Sin has options to deciding what deck strategy we'd like to use for customized playstyle. Each deck built around a specific legend can play both that champion's legends in the main deck, so you can blend the strategies by picking one which is your chosen champion is going to lead you down a path of maximizing the usefulness that guaranteed copy you'll always essentially draw in your games. Step 3, signature cards. The chosen champion is the first of your 40 sidebar. You can go higher than 40, but you can't cut down. Okay, so your chosen champion is the first of your 40 main deck cards, so we will need about 36 more. Wait, that math doesn't check out, or does it? You probably want to reserve spots in your main deck for the maximum copies of your chosen champion's last special card, the signature card. In Origins, Legends have a signature spell which is both specific to the strategy of that champion's deck and honestly more powerful than the other cards of comparable cost. You don't always have to play the maximum copies, but you should have a good reason not to. It will probably play nicely with your strategy. Sidebar. Deck size minimum. You can go higher than 40 if you really want to, or if you really can't cut down your favorites, but generally I recommend against it. It will make it less likely for you to draw on your most powerful cards like your champion, your chosen signature cards. Let's take a look at Victor's signature spell, Siphon Power. It's a reaction played at any time, even before spells or abilities resolve. Choose a battlefield, give friendly units there 1 might this turn, and enemy units -1 might to a minimum of 1. Victor's strategy involves building a small army of units, generally generating recruit tokens, and then bringing groups into the battlefield to take over. When you have numbers and advantage in combat, Siphon Power is incredibly backbreaking. It will almost always swing unfavorable combats to your advantage and help you get those key last few points. Filling out your main deck. Wow, there are a lot of potential cards you can put in your main deck. Any number of cards of your Legends domains, including other champion units. For any card in your main deck, you can play up to 3 total copies of that card. For the chosen champion, the copy you start on the table count. Okay, so you can have 2 of your chosen champion in your deck if you want. Here are some rules of thumb to consider when you're filling out your 40. Play more of your champion. It's generally a good idea to play more copies of your chosen champion. After all, okay, so you build your strategy around it. You want more of it. Play 9+ small units. You can't win unless you fight for the battlefield control, so that usually means playing a large number, 9+ of 2 to 4 costs, even though you can reliably draw 1 on your first turn. Even though you can reliably 1 by your first or second turn. If you have a legend power that helps with early game battlefield control, like Victor's, this is less important. Play 6+ interactive spells. You'll have enough to. Oh yeah, so this is like. So you want to play at least 6+ interaction spells, so you can at least deal with your rival's units. So, you'll have a rough time winning combats if you don't have interactive spells. These spells that can improve on your own units, reduce effectiveness of your enemies, or just straight up remove enemy units. So you want to be able to interact with your opponent's board. Be sure to reliably draw 1 by the middle of the game. You should run a significant number, 6+. If you have signature spells to help with this, you may already. Okay, so. And then don't overload with spells and gear. When in doubt, play more units. Don't overload your deck with spells and gear. When you need units, especially strong ones like champions to contest battlefields, spells and gear are more important, or more supports for your board than presence on battlefields. Okay. So you want to play more of your chosen champion. You want to play about 9+ of 2 to 4 cost, and then 6 interactive spells. That's not bad. In a 40 card deck, you know. The rest of the cards you play with based on your strategy help you win games. Remember, to win a Riftbound, you'll be capable of holding a battlefield or scoring that many on the same turn. That usually means some substantial defensive units and spells or substantial aggressive forces you can build up in the late game. If you're new to deck building, like me, this can be a bit overwhelming. That's okay. You can start with one of the decks we built for you, like the champion pre-constructed decks, and adjust card by card until it plays the way you want to. In the instruction books included with those decks, there are also. Oh, that's cool. This is awesome. I wish more games would do this. Because like a lot of players' first introduction to like a lot of the games, a lot of TCGs are just starter decks or precons, and there's no path. There's no like There's no like walk you through how to upgrade the deck. That's why a lot of content creators do those deck upgrades, like they do pre-con upgrades to help newer players become a little more powerful, because sometimes the pre-cons aren't as strong as like a constructed deck out of like booster packs. What are runes? What about your rune deck? We haven't talked much about that as well. As you select cards for your main deck, pay attention to the power cost across those cards. Sometimes it will make sense to askew your balance of power across your 2 domains to make it easier as you ensure you hit the runes when you need at the times you need them. For example, play mostly 0 power cards in one domain and heavy hitting cards in multiple power cards in the other. If you do this, you can try to do something like an 8-4 split. Oh, okay, so that's cool. You can mix your runes. Okay, I didn't know that. I thought you had to play a 6-6 split. Okay. For the higher power domain cost. You can also consider running the seal cards for that domain, because seals help pay many power recycle costs of a domain over multiple turns if you have a higher quantity of cards that need them in that domain. Seals could be a good choice. It's generally a good start is a 6-6 across. Okay, so a 6-6 split across your 2 domains and tweak it as you play and see fit. Okay, cool. Yeah, so the 6-6 is the base, and then, you can adjust it. 7-5, 8-4. I doubt you'll probably ever go under 4, because then there's probably no point to play. Yeah, I wonder if like single color decks will actually make like a scene. That'd be interesting. Step 6, pick your battlefields. The last thing you'll probably do to finish your deck is pick your 3 distinct battlefields. There are 20 colorless battlefields to choose from in Origins, which means you can pick any of them for a deck. To help narrow it down, ask yourself these questions. Which battlefields do the most to support my strategy? Which battlefields would be disastrous for my strategy if my enemies were to control them? Which battlefields would be slightly better for me than my enemies? That should help you guide towards the best 3 battlefields for your deck. So let's look at the practical example of a Lee Sin champion deck. So we got the champion unit. We got 3 battlefields. We're 6-6 split there. All right, let's talk about this Lee Sin deck. How it was built and what it's trying to accomplish, and how you might go about improving it. First, The chosen champion is Lee Sin centered, as we discussed above. This means it's looking to go a bit more wide and build an army of units rather than a monstrous one. We can see there are a lot of units, many who are not generating buffs themselves, so they can benefit from the Blind Monk legend ability. Notably, units in this deck don't necessarily have buffs themselves, but get way better once you apply buffs, like Bilgewater Bully, Wizened Elder, and of course Uter. As you consider upgrades, changes to this deck may try to find cards to get extra benefits from the Blind Monk buff, or that you may want to spend that buff repeatedly. Importantly, this deck is running a few spells and gear that help you win combats, like Stand United or Discipline, or start fights that you should be able to win, like Challenge or Charm. Remember, one of our rules of thumb: you gotta fight for battlefields to win the game, so that means you may want to have ways to surprise your enemies and gain the upper hand in those combats. Finally, there are two specific strategies here, specific cards here: Mistfall, Wildclaw Shaman, that address a particular weakness of this kind of strategy. It can be a bit slow to build up to unbeatable fighting force versus faster decks like Jinx, or versus decks that can go wider like Victor, Lee Sin, and have trouble coming back from behind. And that's where the ability to have instantly ready units, because of Lee Sin's buffs, comes in and lets you pressure battlefields even from a losing position. As you consider how to improve the weakness of the deck, try to find other cards that let you come from behind, or leverage an army that is stuck defending one battlefield when you need to go to another. That's deck building. That's all for now. Pick your favorite legend and try it yourself. One of the best ways is to build a deck is to make a rough draft and play it versus friends at your local source. That's just play testing. Use your learnings from that game, what was strong, what was weak, and improve it to the next iteration. See you and your new deck on the Rift. So that's the champion deck, that's the Victor deck. Cool. Wow, that was a long one. So that is the deck building primer from Riftbound's game director Dave Guskin. It's a very neat thing. This is something that I'll probably come back to and use, but like I said, I'm going to use a precon first. I'm probably going to get the Jinx precon because Jinx seems pretty cool. We like drawing cards, and we like, playing aggressively in games. So usually aggro wins out early, in lives of early games. So I don't know, maybe we'll see. But yeah, we're going to call it here for this one. This is another news video for Riftbound. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Does this game interest you? Does it not interest you? I think this is a really cool article. I wish Universals would do this a lot more. Post deck building primers, or ways to hey, this is, they try to do their best, but yeah, this is something that I'm looking forward to, is actually building the decks and learning how to build the deck properly. And then, like I said, we're going to be using the Jinx one for a while. So, but other than that, let me know what you think in the comments below about Riftbound. Don't forget to share it to local groups, and just let me know what you're thinking about generally about Riftbound. Are you excited? You're not excited? You're going to try it? You're not going to try it? I don't know. Let's have a conversation. So, until the next video, take care.